Welcome to Hindustan Video Lecture Series. I am Dr. D. Dinakaran, Professor, Center for Automation and Robotics, School of Mechanical Sciences, Hindustan Institute of Technology and Science. This session, we will discuss about programmable logic controllers. The objective of this session is to introduce PLC and its applications for the learners who have mechanical background, and to learn the ladder logic program for simple applications, particularly in manufacturing automation applications. After end of this session, the learners able to select the PLC for manufacturing automation applications. They can write the ladder logic program for simple pneumatic and hydraulic applications. Before going into the architecture and applications of PLC, let me see one case study how a marking of a product is carried out in industries by manual process, by electronic based automation, and then we will compare both the cases with PLC based automation, so that we can understand the use of the PLC in processing and manufacturing industries. If you take this case, manual marking, the products are coming in the conveyor. There is a switch that is controlled by operator. If the product reached this position, the operator will switch on this hydraulic valve, so that the marking will be carried out, that may be date of manufacturing or the brand name. So, this is the manual marking process. Suppose if we like to automate this manual marking process by mechanical elements, say like the gears, belt drives, hydraulic systems or pneumatic systems, that is possible. You can see the circuit diagram for the same. The products are coming in the conveyor that uses different pneumatic switches, that is 3/2 roller valve and then 3/2 roller valve for extension and retraction of the cylinder. This is fully controlled by the pure pneumatic systems. Come to the electronics based automation of the same process. Here, instead of using roller controlled valves and pneumatic switches, we use sensors and different electrical switches for controlling whole process. If you take here, we are using a sensor for recognizing the input and output control. The advantage of this kind of process is we can integrate the whole circuit with the conveyor operations. For each and every time, the conveyor will be switched off for 5 seconds or 10 seconds. That can be integrated with the electronic based control of this marking system, so that the whole process can be automated. Here, to recognize the extension and retraction of the cylinder, we have sensors, and then we have a sensor for controlling the whole conveyor process, and both the things can be integrated. This is what in electronics based automatic marking. Okay. So, we have seen the mechanical based automation, the manual control, and then electronics based automation, but I would like to do some changes for the future expansion of my factory, in that I would like to introduce some of the components or some of the process in the whole manufacturing process. So, for that, if I like to change the circuit, is it possible to change it in the manual process, in the electronic based control process? It is possible, but there are some limitations, because if you take the mechanical and electronics based automation process, it is less flexible. We need to change the hardware configuration completely, and then we need to add some more elements in the process to change the complete automation setup. Then in the maintenance point of view and then operation point of view, it is very difficult to control and it is very difficult to design the process. Nowadays, in the competitive world, the products are undergoing lots of changes, so that it is necessary for including different automation elements in the process production flow, so as to confirm the flexible manufacturing systems for variety of products. We will see two case studies how that is carried out by an operator and a supervisor to operate the machine. Suppose if we like to operate a machine which should be run by an operator only with the consent of a supervisor. This is case 1. How we can implement this problem? By using basic electrical switches. You can see in the diagram, operator has one switch, supervisor has another switch, both are connected in series, and then machine is connected in that circuit. This is the high power line supply. If the operator is switching on this and then supervisor is giving a consent, then we can operate the machine. Say the same thing if we like to introduce through some semiconductor devices like IC chips, through some operational amplifiers like the AND gate and different drive circuits, we can implement the same scheme through the implementation 2 scheme approach. The low power supply is given here, the operator and the supervisor switches are connected in AND gate, and then the output of the AND gate is given to the drive circuit that will operate the relay. The high power supply is connected with the relay. So, if both operator and the supervisor are switching on, then the relay will operate the machine, because we are introducing an AND logic here. If both inputs are high, then the machine can be operated. So, this is what the implementation strategy for the second case. Okay, then we will see the second case study. Suppose two operators are there and there is only one machine, they are sharing that machine. Either one operator can operate the machine with the consent of the supervisor. If you see the problem, a machine should be run only by operator 1 or operator 2 along with the consent of a supervisor. So, this is the high power line again. So, this is the basic electrical circuit required to operate the machine. So, this is the high power line. Operator switch 1 has two different switches, one is in the closed form, another one is in open form. Then operator switch as operator 2 has two switches, one is closed form, another one is open form. Then supervisor also has two switches, both are in open form, and then we can operate this machine. Suppose if we like to execute this circuit with the help of the available electrical elements, we can use the two-way switches for interlocking of the open and closed switches. Same we would like to implement through the gates. How that can be achieved? If you see here, operator 1, supervisor and operator 2, there are three inputs for this case study, and then there are different gates used here. The NOT gate is used for inverting the operator 1 signal, and then this operator 1 signal is given to AND gate. In the same way, we need to do this kind of arrangement that consists of two NOT gates, two AND gate and one OR gate to operate the same scheme through the electronics based automation. Then at the end of this one, OR gate will produce the collective output that will operate the relay, thereby we can operate the machine. You can try for a different option also. If you put all the gate circuits, you can get the XOR scheme, that also you can use it for executing this case study. What is PLC? It is a programmable logic controller that we have seen. We can write and run the programs, that is why we call that is a programmable device. It will take decisions based on the inputs given by the operator, that is why we call the logic, and then it can control the machines and process, that is why we call this is a controller. So, we are naming this device as programmable logic controller. if you see the block diagram, the input module receives the signal from various sensors and various machines, and that is processed through this CPU. Then based on the logic and other operations given in the program, it is giving a output to the output module. Then the output module will convert the data into the signal, and it is controlling different operations like machines or process or on or light or any other applications. So, the CPU is like a computer CPU, and you can ask why the computers are not used in industries and why we prefer PLC. Computers need conditioned atmosphere, so that is why we go for PLC. Basically, the PLC is a rugged device that can be put in any environment, and it has limitations in input and output terminals, and specially made for industrial applications. So that PLC are widely used in industries. Manufacturers and specifications of PLC: ABB, then Fanuc, GE Fanuc, Honeywell, Mitsubishi, Siemens. These are the major players in this PLC manufacturing. The PLC specifications are based on number of input and output and the type of PLC used. Then programming language, programming devices that is used to write the program in the PLC, types of memory and size, CPU clock frequency, execution speed, programming steps. So, I have given the reference for this. You can go through the reference and you can understand the details of the input and output configuration and other specifications. If you take input and output type, it may be digital, AC, DC or coded type. If you take programming devices, computer programming or tape reader, but nowadays computer programming is widely used. Type of memory, then CPU clock frequency, execution speed, like computers, it has these specifications. How does a PLC look like? As you are seeing in the picture, these are the input terminals that are used to receive signals from the various sensors, and these are the output terminals where we can connect the different machines or relays for different processing applications. And this is the output point wiring and input point wiring diagram of the PLC. As I mentioned, you can go through that reference for detailed studies on the input and output modules. PLC operating cycle that consists of input scan, program scan and output scan. In input scan, that will read all the inputs from the sensors. In the program scan, it will read the program written by the programmer. In the output scan, it will produce the output status table for output terminals. So, if you take the input terminals that are sensors, in the input scan, the sensors connected are giving the signals to the input terminal, that is converted as input status table. That status table is given to the user program. In the user program, that will process all kind of arithmetic and logical operations. Then the program will generate the output status table. The status table is given to the output terminals to operate relays, machines and other elements which are connected in the output terminals of PLC. The PLC programming is carried out in two ways. One is ladder logic program. Since it is looking like a ladder, we call that as a ladder logic program. Then mnemonics type. The ladder logic program is looking like a ladder, and it consists of a few switches and some processing elements. If you take this X1 and X2 are the switches, and Y1, M1, T1, this Y2 are output elements which are for specifying the outputs, memory, timer and other output elements. So, we can write the PLC program through this ladder logic or otherwise mnemonics. If you take second type, it is like load x1 and input with x2 or with x3. This is a type of programming we can write it in the PLC, but the ladder logic program is very simple and easy to understand. Any person can understand the logic easily and they can write for any complex problems. That is why in industries people prefer ladder logic programming for writing their programs in the PLC. Then come to the first case, how we can write the program for the case 1 that we have discussed in the starting of this presentation. You take this first case, that is the operator should operate the machine with the consent of the supervisor. You take this program 1, how we are connecting the inputs and outputs in the PLC. You see in the picture, operator 1 and the supervisor, both switches are connected as x1, x2 input terminals in the PLC, and then the machine is connected in the output terminal y1. In between that we are writing the program in the PLC. This is what the overall arrangement of a PLC. Then if you come to the ladder logic program, this is the simple program we are writing to control the on off operation of this machine. As I told, x1 is the switch for the operator and x2 is the switch for the supervisor and y1 is the machine. So, here this is the program which has 3 elements, x1, x2 and y1. This x1 is basically a open switch. If you switch on this one, the signal will be passed through this switch. That is why we call it is a open switch. And then x2 switch, if it receives the signal, it will set to 1. And then if both inputs are closed, then we can get the output. This is how we are using a 2 open switches to control 1 output. If you take the case 2 program, there are 3 inputs in this case 2. As we discussed, either one operator should switch on the machine with the consent of the supervisor. So, that is why 3 inputs are there for this problem. Operator 1, supervisor and operator 2 are the inputs. Here I am specifying x1, x2 and x3 are the inputs corresponding to operator 1, supervisor 1 and operator 2. Then if you take a machine is connected in the output terminal y1. So, this is the ladder logic programming that is used to control this overall program. Now, we will see how the program is working. So, as I said, the operator and supervisor are connected in x1, x2 terminals and the machine is connected in y1 terminal. So, initially if you see the x1 and x2, that is not receiving the signal because the supervisor and operator has not switched on the switches to operate the machine. So, now the operator 1 is setting the switch. So, it is on. This is the high power line from where the supply is given to this x1. Since the x1 is set to 1, up to this the power is flowing. Then now operator 1 is not switching on the switch, open switch, but the supervisor is switching on the switch. Since the operator has not switched on the switch, so the circuit is not completed, so that you will not get any output in y1. If you take a third case, x1 is set to 1, that is operator is switching on the switch, thereby the power is flowing from this rung up to this. Then x2 is the supervisor switch, so that E is also closing the switch, so that the power is flowing from this line to the machine, thereby they can operate the machine with the condition given. Then we will see how the case 2 program is working. So, this is the basic ladder logic diagram that is used to operate the conditions in the case 2. The operator 1 and the supervisor and operator 2, there are 3 inputs in this case and 1 output is the machine. In the case 2 program, the first one is operator 1 is switching on the X1 switch and supervisor is also switching on, that is why the machine is switched on. If you take this hardwire diagram, this operator 1 and supervisor switches are on. In the same way, here we have 2 different rungs. The first rung consists of X1, X3 and X2. This is corresponding to operator 1, this is operator 2 and this X2 is the operator 3. So, in the same way, we have open and close switches to represent this logic. I am using a X1 switch in 2 different locations, one as open switch, another one is closed switch. In the same way, I am using a X3 switch as closed switch in one rung and the second rung I am using a open switch. X2 is the supervisor switch that is used as open switch in both the cases. So, if operator 1 and supervisor are pressing the button, then this is set to 1. At the same time, this X1 closed switch set to 0. That is why power is flowing in the first rung and it is reaching the machine relay and it is operating the machine. Then here the operator 2 is not pressing on the switch. That is why the second rung is not energized. Supervisor is also giving the consent, thereby he is operating the machine. If you take the second condition, supervisor and operator 2 are operating the machine. In X1, it is already closed, so that the power is flowing up to this switch. Operator 2 switch is X3, he is closing, that is why power is flowing up to X2. The supervisor is also giving the consent by pressing X2, that is why the machine is connected and it is running through the second rung. So, this is how the case 2 program is working. Suppose if both the operators are pressing the switch, what will happen? When the operator 1 is pressing the switch X1, here in the first rung the switch is connected, but at the same time the second rung is disconnected because we have used close switch for X1 address. So, that is why the power is disconnected in the second rung. At the same time, operator 2 is also pressing, that is why the X3 is disconnected in the first rung. So, in both the rungs the power supply is cut, thereby we could not run the machine. So, if both the operators and the supervisor are pressing the input buttons, you cannot run the machine. This is required for the program. Then one more thing, supervisor is not giving the consent, but both the operators are pressing the input buttons. What will happen? This X1 is already closed switch, so that the power is flowing up to this one. This operator 2 is already closed here, he has given the input, but the X1 and the X2 are interlocked with the closed and open switches. That is why in both the rungs the power will be flowing up to this one, up to X3, here up to X3, up to X1, and the supervisor is not giving the signal. That is why in both the rungs we could not get the power supply to the machine. So, that in that case also the machine will not run. So, now we will see how we can use the PLC for sequencing of 2 double acting cylinders for automatic reciprocation. So, here you are seeing a 2 double acting cylinders, cylinder A and cylinder B, and then for controlling these 2 cylinders we are using 2 5/2 valves. One is this valve A and then the valve B. To control the whole operation, and if you like to automate the sequencing, definitely we need some feedback devices to recognize the extension and retraction steps so as to automate. So, here we are using two different sensors, that is A minus and A plus. You are seeing in small letters A minus and A plus sensors that are used for recognizing the retraction and extension of cylinder A. And then I am using two sensors B minus and B plus for recognizing the retraction and extension of cylinder B. Both are connected in this 5/2 valve, this first valve A and the second valve B, and then the compressor is connected in the circuit. If you take in the initial condition, cylinder A is in fully retracted condition and then cylinder B is fully retracted condition. I would like to achieve A plus B plus, A minus B minus sequence. How we can achieve this sequence? Through the PLC program. That is what we are discussing now. So, you can also try. Actually, we are taking A minus A plus, B minus B plus sensors input to the PLC input module. These are the inputs. For writing a program in PLC, first we have to see how many inputs and how many outputs. Here we have 4 different inputs. One is small a minus, small a plus, and then small b minus and small b plus. These are the 4 inputs for the PLC terminal, input terminal. And then 4 output terminals are used. One is A plus, capital A plus and capital A minus, capital B plus and capital B minus. These are the various solenoid valves that is used to operate this 5/2 valve. So, the solenoid A plus, A minus, solenoid B plus, B minus are the output devices that are to be connected in PLC. So, as we discussed in the previous cases, we have inputs, set of inputs, and then that are from the sensors that is connected in the PLC, and then the outputs are taken out from the PLC and are connected with different solenoid as discussed. So, now this is the PLC program for operating this automatic sequence. If you take the start button to initialize the operation, we are giving the input to the start button. And then if you take the whole operation, I would like to execute A plus, B plus, A minus, B minus. So, to operate A plus, I need to ensure whether the B minus operation is finished. So, if you take this circuit, to ensure the B minus operation, cylinder B should be in retracted condition and has to reach B minus sensor position. If I receive this signal from the sensor B minus, that means I can ensure the cylinder B is in retracted position, so that I can operate solenoid capital A plus, so that I can move the cylinder A in forward direction for achieving the extension. That is why I am connecting the start button and then I am connecting a B minus sensor signal to operate A plus. Then come to the second one. If the A plus is completed, that means the cylinder extension of A is completed, then the A plus sensor, small a plus sensor will receive the position of the cylinder A in fully extended condition. So, if I receive the position A plus through the A plus sensor, that means I can ensure the A plus operation is completed, the extension of cylinder A is achieved, so that I can take the signal of A plus sensor and I am connecting with the B plus solenoid. If I energize the B plus solenoid, it will supply the fluid for extension of cylinder B, and then the B will reach to the extended position where I am placing the B plus sensor. If the B plus sensor is recognized, that means the fully extended position of the cylinder B is achieved. So, the B plus is achieved. Then after B plus, I would like to operate A minus. For A minus, cylinder B plus, if this sensor is recognizing the signal, then we can operate A minus by energizing this A minus solenoid. So, that is why I am connecting the sensor output B plus with the A minus solenoid. Then if the A minus, that means the retraction of cylinder A is achieved, then the cylinder A will be recognized by the small A minus sensor that is used to recognize the position of the retraction of cylinder A. So, if the A minus sensor is receiving the signal, that means the fully retraction of A is achieved, and then I would like to operate B minus, that means cylinder B extension, for which I am using A minus as an input and I am giving that signal to the B minus solenoid to energize the valve so as to achieve the B minus retraction. So, this is how I could execute the same program through the PLC, and then at the end we can close the program by the end command. So, if you see here, to write any program in the PLC, we have to see how many inputs and how many outputs are there, and then we have to find out in which logic we would like to operate it. Here we have 4 inputs and 4 outputs, and the logic we would like to operate is A plus B plus A minus B minus. This is the sequence we need. So, for achieving A plus, I am ensuring the cylinder B is in fully retracted condition. Then the second one is for achieving B plus, I am ensuring the cylinder A has reached fully extended position. For achieving A minus, I am ensuring the cylinder B reached to the fully extended position. Then at last, for ensuring B minus, I am ensuring the cylinder A reached the fully retracted condition. This is how we need to list out the logic. Accordingly, we can take the sensor's signal and we can connect to the different input terminals of the PLC. Thereby, we can achieve fully automatic operation of cylinders sequencing. You can try this example. So, it is quite interesting. It is in a chemical plant, a motor of a mixer is to be used to automatically stir the liquid in a vat when the temperature and pressure reach preset value. If you see this, I want to operate a motor that is to operate the mixer to stir the liquid in the container. It has 2 different sensors, one is temperature sensor and then pressure sensor, so that the inputs for the PLC are 2 and only one output I have, that is to operate the motor. So, like we discussed in the case 2 and case 1, you can approach the same problem. You can use 2 different switches, temperature switch and pressure switch as 2 inputs, and the output is one motor. Hope you enjoy this lecture. I think we have achieved the outcome, because we learned about in what way we can select the PLC for different applications, and then we learned how to write the simple programs for controlling the pneumatic circuits. If you have any queries, you can contact to my mail. Thank you.